When I was a little girl, I wanted to have my own talk show. And today, you're gonna help me bring that fantasy to life. I left a question box on my website, and my deepest fantasy is that people will go there and ask me astrological questions about their relationships or their natal chart, anything that they would want for me to talk about. And then I'm just gonna make videos like this where I will compile the questions that I thought were most interesting. And I'm gonna go in no particular order. We're just gonna start with the first one. This woman asked, what is a Scorpio sun, Venus in the ninth house, Aquarius Mars in the first house, man like? One sign is known to be passionate, but the other is more detached. And these questions are submitted anonymously, right? But one thing that I will ask for you is to give me always the rising sign of the person so that I can know exactly what I'm going to tell you, and it could be actually tailored for that specific person. So generally what I have to say about this question is that I'm going to quote Walt Whitman here, who is my favorite Gemini, and I'm going to say, do I contradict myself? Very well, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. So people can be pretty aloof in one way and then completely passionate in another way. And what happens is that you're going to see different parts of a person depending on what it is that you're activating in their chart. This is where synastry becomes very, very important when you're trying to find out how a person is going to react to you. Because you could have the coldest seeming person and then you put the synastry together and that person is really going to warm up to you. So it really depends on what it is that you bring energetically to the table, because people are multifaceted, guys. It really just depends on what you're bringing to the table and how that is going to affect that person's sky. Like, you can be very passionate in one regard and then very detached in another. You're going to be combining things. And also, I'm curious about the houses, because the houses also affect how the planets are going to play out. But because she didn't include the rising sign, I'm not sure about the validity of this, because I only use whole sign houses for natal astrology. So next time, include the rising sign. The next question I really liked. It says, as an Aries Mercury Venus, I lost sexual attraction to my Capricorn ex because we had horrible Mercury aspects in synastry. He is mature, reliable, and family oriented. Check, check, check. But I didn't want to live with a person with whom I can't have conversations and can't express my Aries Mercury and Scorpio moon. I have a need for deep conversation. So she's very frank, she speaks from the heart, and she likes to have heart-to-heart connections. Can you please talk more about the importance of such type of compatibility? Sure, I already have a video on how to get close to your partner based on their love language or the type of communication that they best express. It's this one, but I'm going to answer this specific question here. So when you're looking at compatibility, you don't just want emotional compatibility, because you could have a lot of I think it's called congruence, emotional congruence with somebody, where you just connect on a heart-to-heart level. But if your Mercuries are doing something funny with each other, if you have Mercuries squaring each other, or Sun squaring Mercury or Sun squaring Mars, God forbid, these aspects become difficult when you are constantly interacting with a person. Mercury is the way that your communication is going to flow back and forth. But make sure you take into account the person's third house, because that also will tell you a lot about their communication style, and also the house sign and aspects that the person's Mercury is going to be in. And the way that I find astrology very useful is that we can go and look at a person's Mercury, and you can kind of backwards engineer the best way to communicate with that person. So if you're talking to somebody with an Earth Mercury, you don't want to talk to them about how you feel, and you don't want to talk to them about like your visions, and they're going to want to see concrete evidence. I talk more about that in this video, so I'm going to put it up here in case you want to troubleshoot your relationship. She's saying it's her ex, but if this person, imagine like this guy sounded like a great guy. You had your values were shared in common. Values are so important. So is communication. My Geminis are leaving the chat right now. Yes, communication is very important for some people. If you're a Gemini and you are not having good communication with your partner, you're gonna have a bad time. Probably not gonna be partners for long. But other people don't talk that much. Like, if you have a whole bunch of Earth in your chart, talking is not gonna be that important. If you are air dominant, that communication is gonna be super important. If your Venus is in an air sign or in an air house, communication is going to be your love language. So make sure that when you're looking at compatibility, either you can get a professional chart reading, or you could use your astrology. That's why I make all these videos, because I want people to do it themselves. Honestly, I don't want to do all the chart readings. I really don't. So, I mean, if you could read your own chart and help yourself out, that would really help me out, because it's one of my life goals, is to help people learn astrology. But when we're talking about communication and emotional intimacy and connectedness, those water moons, and in particular the Scorpio moons, all the water moons are going to want to have that emotional connection to their partner, right? So pay attention to where your moon is in terms of sign and where it is in terms of house, so that you can see what it is that you need in terms of emotional closeness and emotional expression. Some people have a hard time expressing their emotions. Make sure you look at, as I said, the Mercury. You could look at the rising sign as well. That could tell you a lot about how they'll express themselves. And make sure you watch these videos, because they pertain to this question. If you want to, use your partner's chart in order to communicate with them best, or how to get closer to them, because we can all use astrology to get closer to our partners. We can troubleshoot our relationships, guys. That's why I love this shit. But on a basic level, what happens when you don't have this type of intellectual intimacy, compatibility, and air is an important part of who you are. For you, it really doesn't seem like it's an air thing. It seems like you want to speak directly from the heart, because you're a Scorpio moon and an Aries. So you want to say how you feel when you feel it. And you didn't tell me more about your partner. You just said he's a Capricorn. So I don't know if he's got a Capricorn Mercury and it's squaring your Aries stuff. So you would have the Mars and Mercury interacting with each other. Mars and Mercury are troublesome. They create some spiciness between two people, and you can get into spats. But we can also generally assume that Capricorns don't really like to talk about their feelings. This is a Capricorn thing. They don't like to talk about things that they don't find useful or practical. They also have a hard time being vulnerable. So this could be an issue with all Capricorns. Generally, specifically moon Capricorns or rising Capricorns are going to struggle with this the most. The next question is how to check your Scorpio privilege. I really don't know exactly what this person means, but I have some ideas. So in one of my Scorpio moon relationship videos, I might have talked about the Scorpio double standard, and I don't know if that's what they're talking about, but let me tell you what the Scorpio double standard is. The Scorpio double standard, specifically for the Scorpio moons, is that they can say some mean shit to you and hurt your feelings because you've hurt them, but you can't say something mean back to them because they'll never forget. They will never forget. So that is what I call the Scorpio double standard. That's what I call it. Is that what privilege she's talking about? I'm not sure. Or if you're talking about Scorpio's ability to take control of people in relationships, what I have to say about this is just don't be evil. Don't be evil. It's really that simple. When you have the opportunity to be devious and evil, just don't do it, because it will lead to negative things in your relationship. So I'm not sure exactly what you meant by Scorpio privilege. If you'd like to send me another question and clarify, then I would appreciate that. This next question is also really good. This person said, to what extent is it healthy to start a relationship when you're not doing well with your mental health? And this is a great question, but as you know, I'm an astrologer. I am not a mental health professional. I'm not a doctor, a psychiatrist, psychologist, not even a counselor, but I am a counseling astrologer. So I'm going to talk to you astrologically. So when we're talking about mental health crises, you're talking about difficult periods in your life, and they're going to come and go throughout your life, right? And I think it would be I think it's kind of naive to think and assume that you can wait, like you're gonna go and find yourself in Tahiti or wherever it is that people go, and then you're gonna find your partner. I don't think life is that neat and orderly. I think that life happens and love happens whenever it does, right? But one thing I will warn you about is that the law of attraction, guys, the law of attraction. If you are in a garbage period of life where you are being self-destructive, where you are not taking the reins of your mental health, this is not to like chastise people who are struggling with their mental health. I'm a famous garbage person who struggles with her mental health from time to time. And my thing is that it's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be depressed sometimes. The less you resist your feelings, or the less you resist going under, the easier time you'll have coming back up, right? And I haven't really struggled in a few years because of that. Once I started to accept that, sometimes I'm gonna go under a little bit. Once I started to accept that, then like the times that I spent underwater really were very short. So, but what I will say is that if you are going through a period where you are having a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors, or dealing with addictions, or dealing with victim mentality or mindset, you're going to attract people that are going to perpetuate that type of energy in your life. So if you're having mental health issues and you're also looking for love, then it would really behoove you to take that time to do the work, to do the mental health work that it takes to be emotionally healthy, to be psychologically healthy and sound. So this could be spiritual practices. This could be you going to therapy, doing different therapeutic practices that are going to help ground you and help you feel better, right? So if you're doing that and you happen to meet somebody along the way, that's excellent, because that person is going to reflect the work that you're doing. Not only will you, maybe you'll meet them at one of these like retreats in Tahiti, or you could also just happen to attract somebody who's doing the same type of work in their life. So in order to make sure that you attract the right person, you have to be having the behaviors and mentality of that will resonate with that person that you're attracting. So I have found that when I found myself in periods of my life when I was having a victim mentality, I would attract people who would victimize me. When I was having periods of my life where I was feeling dark and dangerous, I would attract people into my life who were also feeling dark and dangerous, right? So that is basically what happens. It all depends on you and where you are at. Pay attention to when people come into your life. Right now I'm going through a Jupiter phase, and I've attracted a lot of Jupiter energy into my life. Grateful for that. So I don't think that life is nice and neat and that you're gonna find your other half when you're solid, you're doing perfectly. It doesn't happen that way. I don't think so. But I do know that some people like to take time to themselves when they're going through mental health issues. If relationships themselves are a huge component of your mental health crises, then yeah, maybe you don't want to be in a relationship all the time. If your issues are with codependency or love addiction, relationship addiction, then yeah, maybe like take a step back and take a break and don't have a relationship while you're dealing with that. But if your issues are more broad and don't specifically relate to relationships on their own, then I really don't see why you can't fall in love while you're going through it, because like you can't control when you are going to go through it. So just bring a lot of self-awareness, do a lot of journaling, and try to take a step outside of yourself and see what is it that I am perpetuating right now, and am I working on my healing, or am I kind of hurting myself along my path? And if you find that you are self-sabotaging, if you're feeling like a victim, if you're feeling just negative things, because you could be a very supremely anxious person or a depressed person, you can have seasonal depression and still know that this is going to pass, it's going to be fine, and not feel sorry for yourself. It's when you're feeling sorry for yourself and when you're feeling down and beating yourself up and like berating yourself, that's when you're going to attract somebody into your life that is going to berate you, that is going to just continue to perpetuate the types of thoughts that you're having up here. So pay attention, have self-awareness, and that'll help you decide if dating is going to be right for you during this period of your life. And the last question is, I'm a Leo and I'm crushing over a Scorpion for the third time. Okay, that's a red flag for me. I've read several readings that say Leo and Scorpio do not make a good match. I want to know if this is true. Also, what are the chances of the Scorpion feeling the same for me this time? Buddy, what have I said? What have I said? If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. I'm an Aries Mars, and I have no issue with people not liking me. If somebody, I've been rejected lots of times. If somebody doesn't like me, that's fine. Then I stop liking them. I'm allergic to liking somebody who doesn't like me. Like if you don't like me, it doesn't hurt my feelings. You don't have to like me. It's fine. I also don't like you. It's not like a spiteful thing. It's more of like, it's fine, right? So if you are not an Aries Mars and you want to continue trying with this person, I really think that it's not that complicated. It's like, do they like you or do they not like you? And I know that like it's hard to be alone. And if you have your eyes set on somebody and you want to kind of like push it and try to convince them to like you, I think that's like a bad choice to make, because by focusing all of your energy and attention on this one person who is intent on rejecting you, you are missing all the other people that could actually like you back. And I don't know about you, but I love being liked. I like people who like me. So I choose to focus on the people who do like me. But now addressing Leo Scorpio compatibility, they are both supremely strong signs. It's kind of like their thing individually to be strong. And so the only problem comes about when you're talking about leadership within the relationship. So Scorpios ruled by Mars, it's Mars in fixed water. Yes, I use traditional rulership. You could also say Pluto or Mars. Either of those two planets tend to be aggressive and assertive, right? And they like to be in control, either of those two planets. They don't like to be told what to do. And Leo's ruled by the sun. The sun is a supremely masculine energy. And so people who have Leo energy are very much assertive and in control of themselves, and sometimes even like to control others in a more direct way and not in a covert way like Scorpio likes to control. So this is really two people that are, the Scorpio is going to be trying to undo the things that the Leo person is doing, and the Leo person is just going to be telling the Scorpio what to do at times. It depends how much Leo they have in their chart. But these signs, they can mix, they can, but I made a whole compatibility video on Scorpio and Leo, so you might want to watch that if you want a more thorough answer to this. So guys, I hope you like this video. I want to make more videos like this. So if you have any specific relationship questions about your personal life, you can drop them in my question box or here. I guess you could also drop them here. But make sure that you leave your birth details. You don't have to use your actual email. You could just make up an email and then you could just submit it anonymously. You don't have to leave your name at all. You could just put your rising sign, your sun, moon, your Venus, whatever it is that you want to leave if you want me to give you a specific answer. I hope you like this video and I hope you submit a question so that we can keep making more of these videos, because I thought this was really fun to make.